Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 98 of the Sim Racing Show. And this week, Project Motor Racing are starting what they say is their redemption with version 2.0. I've been playing it, I'm going to let you know my thoughts. Fanatec have gone all in on Formula 1 because they're already talking about the next wave of officially licensed hardware, which does mean obviously new wheels, new products, but also potentially a big shift in how the top end of sim racing hardware is going to look by the end of 2026. We'll discuss that. And Max Verstappen has made another big move into sim racing with his own rebrand. iRacing has gone official with DTM. Such Course Rally is teasing some proper rally icons. Trackmania is in bed with Formula E again, and F1 sim racing is about to kick off, and I'm going to be there. We've also got updates from RaceRoom, both good and not so good. Let's get into it. So Project Motor Racing 2.0 has just landed, but does it actually fix the game? Because the developers are saying that the update touches basically every layer of the sim. But the stuff you'll immediately notice comes down to a few things. Firstly, the UI and presentation. Secondly, the handling. And thirdly, the tyre model direction. I've tested the update. It feels like a different game visually when you load into it. I really hated the original look of Project Motor Racing, and this isn't me going back and pretending I said that. If you look at my videos from the first time I played it in Germany, I said I don't like the UI system, I don't like there's too much gold everywhere. They don't even do like the pedal trace, green for throttle, red for brake, it's all gold. And then you combine that with the terrible sound effects when cars made contact, and it just felt cheap. But now the UI looks like a modern game. It still creaks a little bit. You can still tell that it's based on the same engine, obviously, but it's just a little bit more modern and crisp. Obviously, something massively dramatic has happened behind the scenes here, because whoever was responsible visually for the game previously is no longer in control, I would assume. This is a very sweeping change. When it comes to the handling also, you will notice a change. For example, driving cars like the NGT, driving the Porsche 992 Trophy is incredible. It's really, really, really good. You can feel the tyres really kind of gripping up. You can feel them losing grip. You can feel them re-gripping. And the force feedback through the wheel is very good in those cars. I jumped into GT3s. I jumped into hypercars. I just don't think Project Motor Racing is going to be able to compete with Le Mans Ultimate for those two classes. I feel like Project Motor Racing would be a better game without hypercars and GT3s, but when you drive the classic cars, it's a really enjoyable experience. The more kind of emotion and feel there is in the car, the more Project Motor Racing has a chance to shine. Now, is it actually a complete overhaul of the game? Visually it is. Under the surface, I'm not so sure. Also, the UI now is very, very, very cluttered. When you're driving, there is a ton of stuff going off. They've got like the ECU now, and it shows the whole powertrain and everything. They still haven't fixed the thing about just making sure that for your throttle trace it's green and your brake trace it's red. I'm going to keep talking about this, but they have added in some really important tooltips I recommended they did from day one. For example, I saw a tooltip that says as you're loading into Spa in a hypercar, it's going to be cold out of the pits. Warm up your tyres first. And this was a big issue with the game, both when I played it in Germany, tyres overheating, but also when they gave the press copies out for launch, tyres not heating up quickly enough, and people just kind of like not getting to grips with the game. Now people have a better chance to get to grips with the game. However, I would say this. So I think this is all a step in the right direction for Project Motor Racing. You've been asking me to drive it. I've been driving it. I've been driving 2.0 early. I've been enjoying it in the classic cars. That is the best place for me to drive some of these like old school cars, 100%. I don't think it's the best place for G3 hypercar, but old school cars. However, I would notice that when I was driving the 992 at Silverstone, I deliberately warmed up my rear tyres to 150 degrees centigrade, and then I drove around, and I could still drive. And that's very different to my experience, albeit in a GT3 or the Porsche Cup car back in Germany, where it was just impossible to drive once you overheated your tyres. So I wonder if they've made the game a little bit easier as well. But let me know what you think in the comments, because I understand that the version 2.0 should be out by the time I release this video, and let me know what you think of Project Motor Racing 2.0. Alright, now let's speak about Fanatec, because they have signed a new multi-year partnership with Formula 1. Fanatec are saying that they're actively building the next wave of officially licensed F1 sim hardware, including new steering wheels and limited edition products that pull design and tech straight from the real grid. They're also staying locked in as the official sponsor of the F1 Sim Racing World Championship, which matters because that series is about to fire up again. I'm going to be there for the first round at DreamHack in Birmingham, and Fanatec will be the hardware backbone for the whole field. Every team and driver will be running on Fanatec kit. And the prize pool is still pretty serious, $750,000, with the races being broadcast across F1's own digital channels. So this isn't some small niche league anymore. Well, in fact, it hasn't been small and niche for a long time. This has been sim racing esports' best chance of getting into the mainstream, has been F1 esports. Whether you like it or not, that's the facts. And for the people that only touch the sim rig once in a while, but they're still watching F1 every weekend, it's an opportunity to stay in contact with sim racing. Fanatec simulators are also going to be a big part of the F1 fan zone experience at Grand Prix as well. So again, people going to Grand Prix in reality, they're going to go on the sims, they're going to see Fanatec. So Fanatec are spending big money on sponsorship again. Funny, because that used to happen in the past. We said they were spending too much money. Are they now in a better position with Corsair to be sponsoring these things? Maybe. You let me know in the comments. Now, staying on the theme of F1 and sim racing, and this news is actually really big news globally, because Max Verstappen has just posted a statement, and he's basically confirming that sim racing isn't just a kind of like, I don't know, bedroom side hobby for him anymore. It's a proper pillar of the Verstappen racing platform, and it's official now that Team Redline has been rebranded into Verstappen Sim Racing. He's saying that Team Redline has been a huge part of how he spends time off track, and now he's taking the next step by bringing that sim racing officially under his Verstappen racing umbrella, which obviously includes real-world GT3 racing as well. More structure, more focus. However, is Verstappen biting off a little bit more than he can chew? Should he be focusing on the Red Bull in F1 this season? You let me know. Now, more sim racing news next. Before that, a quick word from our sponsor this week, which is a new sponsor, which is AVerMedia. And the Live Gamer Ultra S box, you've probably seen it on the table. So what is this? Why are they sponsoring the sim racing show? So I actually use AVerMedia equipment all the time. This camera right here is running through AVerMedia, and when I'm in my other studio as well, also running through AVerMedia. This is a capture card. This enables you to capture footage. So if you're on a PlayStation 5 doing Gran Turismo, you want to be plugging that into here, and you can capture 4K 60 footage, or you can capture cameras like I'm doing here. So if you want to start your own content journey in sim racing, maybe do a little bit of what I'm doing, maybe do it better than I'm doing, do consider getting an AVerMedia capture card. I've been using them personally for years. Spent a lot of money on AVerMedia capture cards, so this one they provided for free, which is great. Big thanks to AVerMedia. And make sure you always get a 4K 60 capture card, in my opinion. Some of them will be 1080p 60 from some of the other brands, but make sure you get a 4K 60, especially if you've got a PlayStation 5, you're going to be wanting to capture it there. So there'll be a link in the description. Go check out the AVerMedia Live Gamer Ultra S. This capture card basically is the only one that you need. Now moving on to more sim racing news with iRacing, because they've now gone official with DTM. Yeah, there's a full iRacing DTM series for the 2026 season, and interestingly, it's tied to the real DTM calendar. So each round runs a few days before the real world DTM weekend, basically as a warm-up for the race for sim racers. It's a 8-round series, and it's a pretty global friendly way because it runs on Thursday evenings with 8 p.m. start times in multiple time zones, so pretty much everyone gets a decent slot. The tracks are pretty cool. Red Bull Ring, Zandvoort, Spa, Brands Hatch, Nürburgring GP, Sachsenring, incredible track, Hockenheim as well. And this is really interesting because I just spent some time with Formula E, who also going to be in news later, and I was saying I wish Formula E had esports or sim racing rounds before the weekends so we could drive these interesting cars and maybe we're a bit more interested to watch actual racing. This is going to happen with DTM. I'm probably going to try and take part in this. It seems really interesting, and I'm going to want to see how the DTM cars and drivers do in reality on the same circuits I've just driven. So F1 esports is doing an interesting thing. DTM as well. Great for sim racing. Now from DTM to rally, because yeah, more AC rally news. Haven't even teased it yet, so make sure you put a fire emoji in the comments if you're excited for this. And as a Peugeot fan, it's all happening here. I'm super happy about this. Supernova Game Studios, the developer, member Kunos, publishing it, have said that 2 90s rally icons are on the way. 1 Peugeot, 1 Subaru. Okay, great. So Irvin Zonka has called them icons, and of course people are instantly guessing stuff like the 306 Maxi and the Group 8 Impreza GC style car. Update-wise, they've also outlined the timeline. The next update is targeted for the end of April, and then there's a bigger, more content-heavy update planned for the end of June. Now, personally for me, I'm very excited, obviously, because I'm a big Peugeot guy. I'm taking my Peugeot RCZ to the track this week. I'm getting the brake pads fitted, I'm getting the brake fluid in, so I'm going to be driving my Peugeot. So I'm really interested about bringing more licensed content into ASETEK Corsa Rally. And yes, ASETEK Corsa Rally did say at launch that they were going to be doing monthly updates. If you remember, I asked them, and yes, they have clearly slipped from this, and that's not going to happen. However, I do feel like the Monte Carlo Rally update was worth waiting for. There was quite a lot of content in there, and because of the way the game works with the dynamic stages, it's going to have a compounding effect. The more stages, the more cars there are, the more combinations you get, and so I'm pretty happy with the timetable they've set out if they can stick to that. Now, while we're on motorsport crossovers and Real World Series leaking into games, Trackmania in their sim racing show has also decided to go racing crossover mode again because Formula E content is returning there, and this year again they've changed the whole approach. All these pieces of news show how big sim racing and racing is getting and closer to real world motorsport. So what Trackmania are doing is something called weekly shorts. It's 15 new tracks in total rolled out in 3 separate weeks, 5 maps at a time. Week 1 happened, it was tied to the Madrid race where I was in Madrid. I've just flown back there, and it was themed around Hankook, Jaguar and Mahindra. Cupra Kiro sponsored the whole thing, and it makes the set feel really varied. But then they've got 2 more weekly shorts coming later, one around late April and one in May. So it's not just like a one and done drop. They do have a timetable to it. There are also incentives here. You're essentially competing on combined performance across the 5 tracks, and there are prizes for the top 5 each week. On the cosmetic side, obviously, as you might expect, all 10 official Formula E liveries are now in the game, so you can rep your team. Like I said, I was actually in Formula E. I spoke to Taylor Barnard, who's a massive sim racer. He runs the same equipment as me, so I've been advising him for over a year now on sim racing, and we chat, and it's like pretty crazy. So go check out that video. I'll try and put a link in the description. Now, I just want to touch on RaceRoom. I know there's a lot of RaceRoom fans, and you like getting a news here in the sim racing show. Make sure you're subscribed, by the way, if you're not already. A new update has now landed. It's brought 3 tracks and 3 cars in one go. The new version of Spa, Adria and Vallelunga are the 3 circuits, which are pretty nice spread. And then car-wise, very Alpine heavy. We've got the A110 GT4 Plus, the A110 Cup, and the LRT Next 1. That's the next-gen Cup car, if I remember. And they've confirmed that the A110 Cup car is free for everyone. So quite a fun Alpine, free for everyone. And that next-gen car is the Mini Cooper electric car, if I remember. That's ideal for something like, you know, competitive multiplayer, like very spec. But it wasn't all good news for RaceRoom. I just need to check here. But yeah, I believe Director of Strategy and Sales Christian Wackerbauer confirmed that the game's licensing agreement with Ferrari has come to an end. So the 296 GT3 and the 488 GT3 Evo have disappeared from the in-game store. So if you already bought them, fine. But if you didn't, you've missed it. Hopefully they can sort out a new deal, but I'll try and keep you abreast of any future developments like that in sim racing where you might want to buy your cars before they get de-licensed, so you make sure you've got them. Hope you really enjoyed the sim racing show. We're getting close to episode 100, so let me know some ideas you have in the comments for episode 100, and I'll see you in the live show, which is going to happen on Wednesday. So the live show is happening on Wednesday. There'll be a link in the description and comments. See us for the live show, and yeah, that's where I'll see you.